Welcome to Travel Secrets with me, Tanya Rose, the podcast sharing wisdom for fellow travellers. Each week, I ask my guests to reveal their 6 travel secrets and the trips and holidays that uncover them. My guest today is Pippa Vosper, best-selling author of Beyond Grief, prolific writer for Vogue, including travel and fashion, broadcaster and luxury brand superstar consultant. Pippa is currently working on the memoir of her life growing up with a single mother who owned a famous Chelsea pub and employed only women. Her mother became an unlikely tabloid celebrity, and Pippa is the very essence of a true Chelsea girl. Pippa and I met last year through the divine travel editor of Vogue, Giles, and became firm friends on our first meeting when we bonded over our love of travel, as well as me sending her to my wizard. Today, we will be hearing about some of her glamorous places she travels to for work, from New York, Paris, and Milan fashion weeks to quieter family holidays in her husband's beloved Sweden. I note that you call him the Swede.
I do.
Lovely. I've sent Pippa to some great hotels and destinations this year, and I'm sure I'll be sending her to exciting destinations on her bucket list this year. Welcome, Pippa. Perhaps you can start by telling us how travel impacts your life and who you are before we get into your secrets.
Travel just creates this feeling in you that you feel this sense of freedom, but also the cultures that you witness and the places you visit and the food you taste and the people that you meet along the way. That's the thing that stays with me from travel, is the people that I meet when I'm in the places that we travel to.
Yeah, gorgeous. And you travel so much, so your eyes are being open to different cultures and things all the time, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, we just returned from a second trip to Marrakesh and, India, Italy, Sweden, Sri Lanka. Every place that I've traveled to, I've taken a part back with me. As cheesy as that sounds, they've changed my life. But just by being in these destinations and experiencing things, not as a tourist, but more integrated into local life.
Yeah, and that's what I love, because so many people go to places and they feel they have to do the thing that tourists do, but they don't really see what a destination is. So it's getting under the skin of that destination and really experiencing it as a local. But going back to what I said in my introduction about you being a Chelsea girl, I mean, that whole area of where your mum's pub is, it's a lovely area. Do you go back there now?
I go all the time. It's so funny because there's a couple of shops there that I revisit all the time, that actually my mum went to a couple of them when we lived there in the 80s. Yeah, so mum took over the pub when I was very young. And I lived on the first floor and it was overlooking Chelsea Green. And obviously I've seen the green change a lot. And now my mum's pub is a restaurant, but where we lived upstairs has been made into flats. Every time I go back there, I'll sit on a bench on Chelsea Green, which is what we used to do with my mum when I was little, and just take it all in and think, I've been coming here for 40 odd years. Like, this is, I lived there for 10 and went to school up the road. And now it's this hotspot, which I find really entertaining, but also quite surreal.
It's a wonderful part of town. I mean, one of my favourite shops in the world is there. It certainly used to be when it was owned by Lorraine. It's called Sign of the Times. And it's the best secondhand shop.
It
I
is.
mean, she used to call me because she knew my size and my taste and say, I've just done a house visit and you must come because I've got a bag that you would like, or a pair of trousers or whatever. I mean, that really was a travel secret.
Yeah.
I haven't been back as much since she's not the owner, but it is a great find. It
Yeah,
really
my
is.
mum sold her entire Chanel collection when she fell on hard times, when we had to sell the pub when I was 10. And I still think about this now, about what could have been.
Oh.
And it all went off into the world to some other lucky owners. But yeah, this is a real travel secret for London.
Yeah, for London, I think it
Yeah.
really is. Thank you to Antler for collaborating with us on the launch of Travel Secrets. Antler is the British travel brand for those who travel often since 1914. With over 100 years of travel expertise, Antler is renowned for designing and manufacturing quality luggage. Each suitcase embodies pioneering British design, combining innovation, function, and durability with a lifetime warranty. Explore Antler's latest collection at antler.co.uk. So let's get into your travel secrets. If there's one place you could recommend everybody visits at least once in their life, where is it and why? Tell us.
It's quite easy now, this one. It's Sweden. And I never, ever thought that somebody like me who likes beaches and glamour and palm trees would ever say this. But I met my husband 14 years ago now. And the first year that I went there, I couldn't wait to get away. It was green land and rocks and cold water swimming. And I didn't really understand any of this 14 years ago. And as the years have gone on, I just suddenly understood, well, not suddenly, but in the last 8 to 10 years, understood how good for the soul it is to be in somewhere like Sweden, where this isn't derogatory against the people, but they are very simple in their ways much of the time, unless you're in Stockholm. So you will go and find the local fisherman and buy your fish for supper, and you will swim in the open lakes. And as long as it's above 16 degrees, I'll do it. And one year we were there and we were standing on the pontoon of the summer house that we rent every year because we're looking for our own but have yet to find it. And there was a moose swimming with a baby. And it's just the most extraordinary experiences. And it's very, very back to nature, which I actually think we all need now, especially city life with the constant stream of social media, events, work, rushing around. When I go to Sweden, by the end of it, I haven't been on social media for weeks on end. I haven't really called anybody. And everyone understands that when I go to Sweden in this place that's very remote that we rent, you won't hear from me for quite some time.
It must be wonderful for the family as well.
Yeah.
Your kids must love it.
Yes. I mean, we don't really agree with our kids having screens anyway, but there it's even less time. And it's games and outdoor activities and walks and swimming and sailing and whatever else we have to hand while we're out there. But it really is another way of living. And I cannot recommend it enough for those that just want to have a reason to properly switch off.
It's actually what people are all now paying a fortune for, to go to these clinics where they actually have downtime. And we look after Bookinger Wilhelmi, which I think you know, in Germany on Lake Constance. And the owner says it's easier for people to detox from food than it is from screens. So the fact that you're away for a month at a time when your kids aren't on screens is wonderful, I think. Where in Sweden do you go?
Lots of our friends have sort of navigated themselves and bought houses in this area called Tura. And any Swedish people listening, I'm sorry for my pronunciation, it's terrible. But it's sort of 45 minutes outside of Stockholm. And the Michelin-star restaurant in Stockholm has opened a smaller restaurant in this area. And it's attracting quite a sort of a cool crowd without being sort of a second city, where that can happen. And there's a ferry, or you get luckily friends of ours have boats out there. So you take this boat out to Landsort, which is an island that has this sensational restaurant on it. And you can only get there by ferry or a private boat. And when we were last out there, I walked into this restaurant. There's only 2 on the island. And I said hi to this guy that I clearly knew and his group of friends. And my husband's friend said to me, you know Alexander? And I said, what? He went, that's Alexander Skarsgårds. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And
you knew him from television, but you thought you knew him.
Yes, I thought I knew him. And so I had to spend the whole time in this tiny restaurant on this tiny island, not looking over in that direction, because I was mortified that I felt like I knew these people.
I bet he loved it.
Oh God, I don't know. But so it's like that sort of person will go out to this neighbor. Yeah, so Tura. And there's a beautiful beach called Stenstrad. Again, my accent's terrible, which is a huge sort of surfing community go there. Beautiful white pebbled beach. And there are all these restaurants opening up in that neighborhood, which you would probably find sort of transported from, say, Hackney. A very cool barn-style restaurant sort of popping up in the neighborhood. So we're looking to buy down there and quick, because it's becoming quite a destination.
Wonderful. I shall be hot-footing it to Sweden now.
Yes, please do.
Yes, lovely. So let's move on to travel secret number 2. What is the most unexpected journey that you went on that you weren't expecting to be like it was?
India, for sure. I've been 3 times now. And the first time I went, I'd met a guy at the Design Museum at some launch party when I was in my early 20s. And 2 weeks later, we were on a flight to India together. We obviously didn't know each other. So we got to India and I realized what a plonker he was. So on the first night, I realized I cannot continue going around the country with this man in this beautiful place. He was very closed off to culture, closed off to experiences. So I pinned a note to the door of our hotel room, and we were there on a romantic, obviously escapade together. And I just pinned a note and said, I can't do this with you. Goodbye.
Brilliant.
So I took myself, which I'm so proud of myself for doing, around India for 2.5 months on my own with a backpack. And I got on trains that were taking us overnight from like Mumbai down to Goa. And then again from Goa, I went to Kanyakumari and Fort Kochi for New Year. And it was the most life-changing, unbelievable experience I've ever had. And I cannot believe I did it on my own, actually, but I'm so happy I did.
That's
because,
amazing.
Yeah, I remember I traveled out on a bus to a waterfall and I fell asleep and I was being filmed by this couple who were on their honeymoon and they had a chaperone with them. And I just got talking to them, although there was a language barrier, got on the back of the now groom's motorbike and they just motorbiked me through the countryside to this main bus station to get me to my next destination. And just all of these experiences, and I spent New Year's Eve on Fort Cochin, which is an island just to the west coast, and just the fires on the beach, I remember, and the fishermen's nets on these huge boats, and just the experience of just throwing yourself in like that with, the local people and just not needing to go to some hotel for a fancy cocktail. I'm much more about just getting into the thick of things and seeing what experiences I can have. Maybe back then it was less dangerous. I don't know. Or maybe I was just less aware of any dangers that could have happened to a single woman.
Very brave, but also really the best way to see.
The best way to do it.
And India is so amazing for the senses. My sister got married in India in the Himalayas. Goodness. And the colours and the smells, they come back to me all the time. And really extraordinary, actually.
It's the most wonderful
country. And you've been 3 times, have you?
Yeah. The second time I went to India, we went to Jaipur to this beautiful designers event, Saloni her name is, and it was just the most magical experience. We had the Holi, and obviously we got a little bit less stuck in with the locals because it was an organized event, but you still felt the true magic of the country.
Yeah, beautiful. And Jaipur, there are some incredible hotels in Jaipur as well. Oberoi hotels, Taj hotels, Leela hotels are really, really amazing. So yeah, India, definitely a place to visit and life-changing, I would imagine. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on to secret number 3. What's your most overrated travel experience?
Do you know, honestly, I don't think there's an overrated one because this sounds like, again, a little bit too rose-tinted glasses, but wherever I travel to, I'll always find something that's interesting, magical, an experience that I will seek out or it'll happen to me. And I don't think there are any places that I would actually say were overrated. I've had a couple of disasters. Actually, both of my disasters have centered around Marrakesh, although the place is absolutely beautiful. We stayed at the Royal Mansour and 31 degrees the week before we got there. And we arrived to a freak cold spell where it rained and it was freezing the entire time. And then I've just come back again from Marrakesh. And 3 of the 4 members of my family got so ill that we were bedridden. And I just can't believe my luck. I'm going to do it a 3rd time.
I'm sending you back to the Royal Mansour.
I'm going to do it a 3rd time to make sure.
Your 10th wedding anniversary is coming up.
Yes, it is.
Royal Mansour, let's do it in the spring.
My goodness. And just make sure that there's no rain, no sickness, no flight delays, no lost luggage, because it's just something about Marrakesh and me that hasn't worked. I'm going to do it the 3rd time. I'm going to hold you up on that, Tanya.
I promise you I'm going to send you. And honestly, my goodness, it's such a special place because for 4 hours flight, you are in a different world.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Medina is walking distance from the Royal Mansour. Also, the Atlas Mountains are wonderful to go to. So that's your next trip for your 10th wedding anniversary.
Would you say to do the balloon, or is that a bit too commercial?
I think the balloon's great if you don't mind heights. I would be terrified to do it. And I don't know, you might end up in a different country. I think stick to Marrakesh.
You'll get blown off.
That will be the 3rd thing that happens to you.
I'll get blown away in a hot air balloon.
We're sending you just to Marrakesh, to the Royal Mansour.
Oh my goodness.
Fantastic. Let's go on to travel secret number 4. Food and wine is obviously very important to you. Where have you had your best meal, your best cocktail? Tell me about that.
100% is in Japan. So we've been, luckily, to Japan a few times as well. You know, there's this high concentration in Tokyo and in Kyoto of Michelin-starred restaurants. is bananas, especially in Kyoto. If you look on a map, you'll see them dotted. Michelin, Michelin, Michelin everywhere. So we went to have real experiences. And there was one particular restaurant, I cannot remember the name of it now. Maybe it's still there, maybe it's not, it's 10 years ago. And we went out and it's sort of this real experience of bees, caramelized crickets. There was bear on the menu. We ate wasps.
Wow.
It was extraordinary. That was a real experience. And again, my husband and I just got really stuck in and said, if we're going to do this, we're not going to squitch and squirm. We're going to really go for it.
We're going to eat bear and
ants. And yes, there were big ants. It was a strange experience, but also something that I think if you're going to go to another country, throw yourself into it. Like, this is not extraordinary for the people of Japan.
Kyoto is so beautiful as well. Did you stay in one of those ryokans?
We did, yeah.
Those are fantastic,
It was
they?
Unbelievable. Nils, my husband, took me to this unbelievable place. And as you walked out of the hotel, we got on this overground, like little tram train thing. And in the middle of nowhere and totally unexpected, there was a Picasso museum. Bananas, like an outdoor sculptures of other artists. And then the big Picasso exhibition in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
In Kyoto. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? Wow. I do love Japan. It's just, I haven't actually been for many, many years, but it's a beautiful, interesting place.
Yeah.
The thing I love most about Japan are the shops for paper. You know, the writing
Stunning.
And stationery. I know
I
that
love
sounds
stationery.
really
No,
bizarre,
I'm a stationery girl for sure.
It really is. And there's a very famous one that Anya Hindmarch did a partnership with in her pop-up in Pont Street last month, where they had all this amazing, lovely stationery. And I spent a fortune in there, but you know, on little things like sharpeners.
Yeah.
Sounds very
and coloured
strange, but
paper, like
wonderful.
pink, a special pink paper.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
Bananas.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, secret number 5. What is your favourite hotel and why?
It's Lake Como and it's Villa d'Este. There is something otherworldly, film set. I don't know what it is about this place. The minute you get there, just the pasta is another level, like buttered pasta for lunch. You don't imagine that this could be anything special. And there's just the way they do things. And you are stepping back in time. The concierge, the lovely people that work there, the view. The first time we stayed there, we were in one of the balcony rooms overlooking the lake. And there was a really, really, really enormous wedding happening, which ordinarily could have been quite intrusive. But my husband and I stood on the balcony that night. There was Placido Domingo was blaring out of speakers on the lake. They'd got a platform in the lake with fireworks that went on for about 45 minutes with this ridiculously over-the-top wedding. And we were just standing there laughing, going, how is this...
Spectators.
How is this normal? What, you know, it was one of the funniest memories is us with a glass of wine laughing in a nice way, not laughing at the wedding, but laughing at the spectacle of it all. And yeah, and we went back for Christmas time and we've never been to Italy in the winter. And I was thinking, oh, you know, I don't know if this is a good use of our time, blah, blah, blah. And magical. It was tipping down with rain. You're in Villa d'Este, you're overlooking the lake. We even took a boat trip in the rain on one of the local boats just to go around the lake in the rain. And the mist was coming up off the water. And it was, again, another
Really
unbelievable experience.
I love Lake Como. And Bellagio, which is opposite on the other side of the lake, has fantastic shops, absolutely brilliant shops. When you go back, I'm going to give you the best leather shop and the best jewellery shop. So you see the jewellery that I'm wearing at the moment?
I did. I saw that ring.
Plasticky, but not expensive. Really great shops. Obviously, there are high-end shops, but I'm talking about the little local boutiques.
The artisans.
Yeah. And leather, they do leather like no one in Italy. So I'll give you my list when you go next time.
Yes, please do.
So moving on to your last travel secret number 6. What is a memory of a trip that is so poignant to you still today?
Oh, Sri Lanka. A friend of mine, Laramon, married an English guy. She is Sri Lankan. And her husband now, John, his father bought a plot of land in Sri Lanka, 50 years ago. And they built a hotel called Palagama Beach, which we went on a whim to stay at over the New Year period. And I had got very, very sick on the trip. This is like a running theme now, isn't it? I'm like sick. I'm not normally sick on trips. And I thought I'd eaten something. I threw myself into the local culture again and just was eating food on metal boxes on the side of the road. And it turns out it was actually pregnancy nausea, but I didn't know this. So I was pregnant with my first son, but we'd gone out to Palagama Beach for New Year. And on New Year's Eve, my husband proposed to me on the beach at Palagama.
Lovely.
But I was so unwell, and I don't remember saying this, but apparently I did, and I can well believe it. He got down on one knee on the beach, said, "Will you marry me?" And I said to him, "I've got to go and find my shoes." And so I went off and left him on the beach to go and find my shoes.
That's extraordinary.
Extraordinary. And maybe it was surprise, maybe it was illness, I don't know. Came back to him and said yes. And so he said, "Thank goodness for that, because I've engraved the ring with the date of New Year's Eve underneath it."
Oh, that's so sweet.
So thank goodness that worked out. And yeah, so we stayed at Palagama, and I've got to go back because it was unbelievably wonderful. But the funny thing is that when I travel with my husband, who's Swedish, it's a running joke now. Everywhere we go, next to us on the next table will be Swedish people. Everywhere.
Even in Sri Lanka.
Even in Sri Lanka, there were two different couples staying at Palagama who were Swedish and didn't know each other, surrounding us every night. And we laugh about it because we went to Florida with the kids, went out to some Everglades trip, and there was nobody there. It was a very sort of mismanaged trip. A coach load of Swedish people turned up and got off and followed us round the entire tour. Swedish everywhere. Everywhere we go. Wherever we are, there's going to be someone Swedish
so
next
funny.
to us.
I don't think I've ever had that, but maybe
we attract the Swedish people.
Or
They're
maybe
always
it's
next to
because
us.
you know that you actually observe that. I'm not sure. I'm going to be looking out for the Swedes wherever I go.
Yeah, it's bananas. Everywhere we go, whatever country, there'll be someone Swedish next to us.
But what a lovely, lovely holiday that he proposed and that you were pregnant and
Yeah,
that it was your
it's so
friend's
nice.
resort. How
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm putting that on my list. That
Yeah,
sounds
it
fabulous.
is wonderful. And there's a
Definitely.
huge kite surfing community out there as well in that region.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I would love to have kite surfed, but I was sick, and unbeknown to me till I got back to England to a pregnancy test, I was pregnant.
How wonderful. Definitely on my list. So we're now at the end, and I asked you to bring a picture that really summed up travel for you or a wonderful memory. Can you tell us about the picture that you've bought?
Yes, this is a photo of my husband and I when he did the most romantic thing and whisked me off to the Amalfi Coast. And this is a picture of us on the enormous balcony that we were lucky enough to stay in this hotel. And I just remember being really impressed with my husband that he'd done this and thinking, "Oh, I could get used to this. This is perhaps my future husband," because by that point, obviously, we were just dating. It was so classy of him and so romantic and just perfectly done. And that started a love affair with the Amalfi Coast as well. We went back years later and stayed at a place called Casa Privata, which I can highly recommend to everybody. They don't do a lot of marketing. They don't put themselves out there. It's a very discreet, very beautiful hotel. Minimal rooms, I'd say 10 to 12, and they're on this cliffside. It is just so exquisitely decorated. And everything in there is ultra, ultra, ultra elegant. The lady that owns it actually lives in London, bought the property out from her two siblings after her parents left it to them. And she has done such an incredible job. You see it on Instagram sometimes, and the photos are pure Slim Aarons. It is unbelievable.
Oh, definitely a travel secret. I
Yeah,
should be going
that's
there.
a travel secret. There's a few travel editors I've spoken to who know it. But other than that, it's not really on people's radar unless you've been told about it. And it is one of the most elegant, beautiful places in Amalfi you could stay.
Oh, definitely. Because obviously there are the very well-known ones, but the hidden gems are the ones
It's
as
an
well to go
absolute hidden
to.
gem, Casa Privata. It's beautiful.
Pippa, thank you so much, my darling.
Thanks
It's
for
been
having
wonderful
me.
to see you and to chat to you.
I've gone around the world.
You've gone round the world, and I
In my
literally have a
hour.
list of places to now go.
Good. I'm so happy.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.